Welcome to the 35th Annual Pagdiriwang Philippine Festival in Seattle. My name is JP Paredes, and I'm the President of the Filipino Cultural Heritage Society of Washington, producer of the annual Pagdiriwang Philippine Festival, one of the 24 art and culture festivals of the Festal program of the Seattle Center. Pagdiriwang is the largest Filipino art and culture festival in the Pacific Northwest. Pagdiriwang is traditionally held at the Seattle Center with the support of the City of Seattle and its instrumentalities such as the Seattle Center and the city's art and culture sector, and Festal's major sponsors, T-Mobile and For Culture. Traditionally held in late spring during the first weekend in June, Pagdiriwang offers more than 100 hours of content that cover dance and song performances, martial arts, exhibits of fine arts, artifacts, textiles, photography, and history, readings of poetry and plays, a film festival, culinary arts and cooking demonstrations, workshops, children's hands-on educational activities, booths offering information or selling hot and packaged foods and dry goods, bands, and many other events that offer Filipino artistic and cultural content. This year, as in 2020, Pagdiriwang will be held virtually because of the challenges posed by the pandemic. Of course, it need not be said that festivals offer a deeply satisfactory experience to the attendee when experienced in person. Despite the challenges, the art and culture content can be experienced, although compressed within 6 hours throughout the weekend. We remain hopeful that we will be able to return to the in-person format in 2022, in time for the Pagdiriwang's 35th anniversary. While there are limitations posed by the virtual format, there are opportunities as well. One great development is the infusion of overseas talents that would have been prohibitively expensive and logistically challenging had we invited them to perform in person. With the virtual format, we can request anyone in the world to perform, as in last year's Visual Fine Arts exhibit by Philippine artists led by Grandier Bella, and with the use of the ArtStep app. The viewers were treated to a virtual tour of an art gallery featuring several paintings by Philippine artists, as well as real-time sketching workshops that would not have been possible to stage in person. As you will see from the program we prepared for you, we will be presenting 3 hours of content on each day of Saturday and Sunday, June 5 and 6, starting at 1 o'clock p.m. Pacific Time. I am extremely proud to introduce this year's excellent quality performances by the Philippine legendary violinist, John Lesaca of Manila, Philippines, vocalist Timmy Pavino, who will perform his composition, Something Keeps Holding Me, the dance performances of the Filipinas Performing Arts of Washington State, or FPOS, and the Filipino Community of Seattle, or FCS, Kalahi Dance Company, both choreographed by Juliet Omli Kawas Chitel. The introduction of the Filipino Community Village by the Filipino Community of Seattle. The artifacts and fabrics of the Philippines to be presented by John Paredes. The cooking demonstration by the creative cook, Silvain, Snor Alarilla of Snor's Kitchen. The Pinoy Word Expressed Kultura Arts, Agham, Pabula at Kultura, coordinated by Bob Floor. The Travel Back in Time, a Photo Travelogue by Leia Maminta Smith. The Community and Senior Services presentation by the International Drop-In Center. The Magindanaon Kulintang, a woman's instrument by Titania Buchholdt of San Francisco. The webinar entitled Uncle Rico's Anchor, Mostly True Stories of Filipino Seattle, by eminent author attorney Peter Bacho. The virtual art exhibit of various artists from the Philippines, coordinated by Grandier Hill Bella of Manila, Philippines. The performances of Kat Kat, Eli Yamson, Phil-Am Society Choir, Tabagis Band, and Tessa Mendoza of Musika at Iba Pa. Workshops on ancient Filipino writings by Christian Cabuay, and the traditional Kalinga tattoo by Lane Wilken. Previews of short films of the Diwa Film Festival, coordinated by Adrian Ellis Alarilla, PhD candidate at the University of Hawaii in Manoa. The Maranao dance, called Singkil, to be performed by Sayaw of the Filipino American Students Association at the University of Washington, or FASA, choreographed by Lizelle Moralea Hackett. The culinary art exhibit by Violet Noriega, Director of Philippine Cultural and Educational Services and author of cookbooks of Philippine recipes. And the serenades by Jerome Bolisay, singer and chef from Los Angeles, California. Thank you to Seattle Center and its staff, the City of Seattle, Festal's major sponsors, T-Mobile and For Culture, the Pagdiriwang performers, event coordinators, artists, and sponsors. Again, welcome to the 35th Annual Pagdiriwang Philippine Festival to celebrate the 123rd anniversary of Philippine independence. Thank you.
Seattle is strengthened by the brilliance and resiliency of our diverse community. The diversity is also what drives and enriches Seattle Center's Festal. The 2021 Festal theme, Where the World Gathers, links together the series of 24 free festivals presented throughout the year, each with a unique cultural focus, identity, and a range of engaging activities. As a civic cultural series, Festal is unique in the world, bringing together organizations from our cultural communities to share their heritage and creative contributions with Seattle residents and to share it with the rest of the world who've been able to access the festivals online. I want to commend Festal producers and volunteers who, through these really challenging times, have maintained a platform of connection for our communities through these virtual presentations. You've persevered, venturing into new virtual worlds of music, art, movement, and cultural conversation. I wish you the very best in 2021 as you and we await a time when we really can all gather again together in person. I would like to share a special greeting and express my appreciation for the part the Filipino community has placed in the livelihood, culture, and community of our great city. Over the past 35 years, Pagdiriwang Philippine Festival has been a dynamic and engaging presence at Seattle Center. Pagdiriwang is the Filipino word for celebration, and I want to recognize this celebration's producers and volunteers who have worked so hard and creatively to put together this virtual celebration in 2021. I hope the weekend creates meaning and strength for the Filipino community and strengthens the understanding in the broader community for what your community contributes to our city and our region every day. Thanks for being here and have some fun.
Hello, I'm Robert Nellams, Director of Seattle Center. It's an honor to be part of the opening segment for the Pagdiriwang Philippine Festival, a part of Virtual Festal 2021. Festal is a series of 24 ethnic cultural festivals produced by community organizations in partnership with Seattle Center. I am pleased to be speaking today with Juan Pablo Paredes, also known as JP, co-producer of Pagdiriwang Philippine Festival and president and CEO of the Filipino Cultural Heritage Society of Washington. Thank you, JP, and an extended thanks to the board of the Filipino Cultural Heritage Society of Washington for presenting 35 years of Pagdiriwang celebrations with Seattle Center.
Thank you, Robert. Hello. And thank you to the Seattle Center and the City of Seattle, together with the sponsors and partners. Yeah, as you mentioned, Robert, this will be our 35th annual Pagdiriwang Philippine Festival. And all of those 35 festivals have been held at the Seattle Center. So that's since 1987. So we do have quite a history with Seattle Center.
Yes, Pagdiriwang was foundational in helping Seattle Center develop a Festal program. We deeply appreciate this long-established collaboration. And Festal events bring people together in celebration. Pagdiriwang literally means celebration and commemorates the anniversary of the Philippine independence. JP, can you talk a little bit about how we experienced this in the festival programming?
Yes, yeah, basically Pagdiriwang proudly expresses all that is beautiful and enduring in the Filipino culture. To celebrating independence from Spanish colonial rule in June 12, 1898. Celebration is expressed through the Filipinos' love for music, the finer things in life through the different forms of art, whether it's performance art or culinary arts. But we do have quite a list of events that we're having now. We also have workshops and lectures.
Mm-hmm. Well, we have quite a large Filipino population in Washington, and Pagdiriwang has grown to become one of the largest festivals of the Filipino arts and culture in the Pacific Northwest. What do you find most rewarding about working on this festival?
Well, the most rewarding thing that I find working for this festival is the opportunity for me to be of service through our outreach and education efforts. Just the fact that I'm involved with my wife, Melanie, in something huge and meaningful in a leadership position to present, Filipino arts and culture is itself a reward. It sounds like a cliche, but that's just how it is. One thing that is truly rewarding is the, cultural interchange, especially with the ethnic festivals. There's a cultural interchange and the knowledge that we do have more similarities than differences among the cultures.
Mm-hmm. The 2021 virtual program is loaded with performances, presentations, workshop, even an art exhibit. Were you able to include most of the treasured festival traditions?
Oh, yes. We were able to gather excellent representative materials through our community partners to provide music, dance, art, film, literature, cooking, language, tattoo, history, the works. So while we don't have different stages, for example, in this virtual stage, we only have only one compared to the personal stages where we had about 3 or 4, depending on where you are. Anyway, we do have quite a bit during this virtual Pagdiriwang. So while we're limited by the virtual format, we were able to gather good representation of our culture through performances in music, cooking demonstrations, dances, lectures, artifacts, photography, like I mentioned, film festival, poetry readings, an author's webinar about Filipinos in Seattle, and a workshop on the Kulintang musical instrument. So we have lots to offer this year.
Wow, that is absolutely outstanding. So thank you, JP, for talking with me today. And I wish you and your co-producer, Melanie Paredes, and all of the volunteers who helped make the festival possible all the very best this weekend. For all of you out there, come join Festival Pagdiriwang. It is a joy to participate in, and you will learn something and you will be inspired by the performances, the performers, and the volunteers. So thank you. Peace.
more than I could bear. And I was on the verge of giving over. The strength within myself just wasn't there. Something keeps holding me. Every day I see, helping me faithfully to overcome my trials, guiding me constantly, giving me victory. He's a reality, 'cause something keeps holding me. Satan laid before me his temptation of his desire to steal away my faith. But I found inside the revelation, the strength I need to keep me in His grace. 'Cause something keeps holding me. Every day I see, helping me faithfully to overcome my trials, guiding me constantly, giving me victory. He's a reality, 'cause something keeps holding me. Oh, holding me. Oh, something keeps holding me. Every day I see, helping me faithfully to overcome my trials, guiding me constantly, giving me victory. He's a reality, 'cause something keeps holding me. Guiding me constantly, giving me victory. He's a reality, 'cause something is holding me. Oh, Lord, holding me. Something is holding me. Something keeps holding me.
Magandang araw po sa inyong lahat. Ako po si Timmy Pavino, and I would like to say thank you so much to Pagdiriwang for allowing me to come back and to celebrate with all of you this season. And I know it's a strange season. Some people would call it 2020.1. Save your applause. But it has been a hard year. Hard too, almost, it's going on the second year now, and I really do pray and hope everybody is safe and well with all of your families and friends. And to those we have lost in this season, I do wish you condolences, and I do wish you hope and light. And I pray that with this strength, sometimes we have to remember that pain becomes our strength. And it's something that allows us to push ourselves forward to inspire others who are also going through the same thing. And I too have experienced loss. I know some people have been going through many changes in their lives. And I only wish the best for everybody back there in Seattle. I miss you all, my Pacific Northwest folk. I miss you guys so much. At sana naman po that we all get to see each other real soon. For me right now here in Manila, I just want to just share a little story that, I came from Seattle, Washington. I was born and raised there, and I love my city. And but there was a calling for me here, and unexpectedly, the reason why I sang "Something Keeps Holding Me" is because something did propel me to come here, and I do believe that was God for me. And for you, it could be family, it could also be God, it could be friends that are pushing you past your limit to see what more you can do. And right now is the time for all of my fellow musicians out there, and not just musicians, but artists there in Seattle. I do hope that you know that this pandemic is a jump start. It is not a stop, it is not a halt, it is a jump start to start refocusing where we can put our energy and where we can place our talents, where we can be most meaningful and effective. And luckily we are here online, and we have this opportunity to share and inspire others through our art. And I hope, no matter what platform now you are on, anyone, even if you're not an artist, your circle of influence is listening to you right now. And what you do with this moment, I believe, defines you. It's not your past, it's not what you've been through, but this moment right now. The choice and the opportunity to do something great lies in your hands. And for me, I know what it's like to jump blindfolded and just trust that there's gold at the end. And I promise you, I do promise you, at the very end of it all, there is gold, not in riches, but wealth of knowledge, wealth of experience, wealth of life that is waiting to capture you. And for me, I am so thankful that God allowed me to do what I've been able to do as an artist here in Manila and change the industry in the way that I can only do. And I really do hope that you find that purpose as well. Everybody has a calling, and I know yours is just right upon the horizon. So maraming salamat ulit, Pagdiriwang, for allowing me to be here. Of course, a little shout out to Tita Tess, and also to my mom who's watching right now, and to all of my family who's watching as well, and friends. I miss you so much, and I pray that we will be reunited real soon. Once again, if you feel like something is holding on to you right now, have no fear. Just jump and reach for the stars. And you're gonna land in an area, in a plane that you've never expected, 10 times better than what you could imagine. You just have to trust yourself, believe in yourself, and know that you are enough. God bless you all. Kita-kits soon. God bless.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the 35th Annual Pagdiriwang Philippine Festival. The dance artists of the Filipinas Performing Arts of Washington State, in short, we are called the FPOS. We are here to present to you today the Lumad and the Bangsamoro dances of Mindanao Island in the Philippines. The Lumads and the Bangsamoros are the two main indigenous groups in southern Philippines. Lumads refers to the non-Moro or non-Islamized indigenous peoples, and the Bangsamoros are the Islamized, or they refer to the Islamized indigenous peoples. And so the first dance that we are about to perform is a ritual and a ceremonial dance called the Kaloob. It is a dance among the Manobo people of Bukidnon, Mindanao. This ritual is done solemnly to appease the spirits of nature, and during the ritual, an offering is made by the bailan or priestess, and is believed to carry the thanksgiving offering and prayers to the deities. The Kaloob dance has two main parts, the Dugso and Inagong Sayaw-Sayaw. And then after the Kaloob dance, the next dance we are going to perform is the Tiduray social dance. The Tiduray social dance is usually accompanied by an ensemble of handheld gongs called Kulintang. And the music that is played is called kaatong. This dance is from the Lumads of Upi, Cotabato, Mindanao. And from Upi, Cotabato, we travel to Davao del Sur. And then we are going to perform the Blit Bilaan. This is a dance of the Bilaan people of Davao del Sur, imitating the forest birds' intricate moves during mating season to attract a male. It is a dance with the rhythm of the Bilaan musical instruments called the falimak, and the other one called the faglong. A tubular cloth we called the malong is used by the dancers to represent the bird's wings. We're still in Cotabato, Mindanao. So we are going to perform the Madal Tiboli. This is the dance very common of all the Tiboli festival dances and is characterized by the graceful movements of the arms and the hands. This dance may be performed by a group or alone by a female dancer who executes a bird-like motions with her arms, and manipulates again the malong slung on her neck in different positions as she goes through her dance moves. And lastly is the Kapagapir-apir. This dance is a Bangsamoro dance. It's from the province of Maguindanao. The Kapagapir-apir dance is usually performed to commence an important affair. Ladies are usually from the royal court. They coordinate their apir or fan with their small steps called kini-kini, which symbolizes their good manners and prominent family background. So I hope you will enjoy our dance. And I would like to mention our dancers today. And thank you to Julieta May Dacot, Marie Serica de la Cruz, Kelly Singletary. And I am Juliet Chito. I am the choreographer, director, and dance teacher. We hope you enjoy watching these dances as much as we enjoy performing them for you. So be safe, and we hope to see you next year in person. Thank you very much again.
Hello everyone, my name is John Paredes, and welcome to this presentation of Colección, Artifacts and Fabrics from the Philippines. Today we will see various baskets, tools, and fabrics from the Philippines. Many of the items use traditional means of manufacturing, and some of them are over 100 years old. Here's an overview of the topics. The collection is organized by typical uses of the individual items. First up, we have everyday goods. This ligau is a plaited weave winnowing basket made from rattan and bamboo from Ifugao. It is used to remove rice husk after pounding the harvested rice by flipping the rice in the air so the denser and heavier rice falls into the basket and the lighter husk is carried away by the wind. It is also used by families for communal dining. This is a winnowing basket from Bontok and is made with a plaited weave out of rattan and bamboo. Here is an example of a winnowing basket from the Kalinga, made from plaited weave construction in bamboo and rattan. This igao winnowing basket is from Ilocos Norte and is woven from bamboo and rattan. This gimata carrying basket from the Bontok region is woven with plaited construction. The wooden pole attached to each basket is placed across the user's shoulder to carry harvested rice and root crops. This alatao from Ifugao is made with a plaited weave from bamboo and wooden legs. It is used to transport rice and other farm produce. This laba from Tingyan is made with plaited weave from bamboo and rattan and is based on an Ilocano style of basketry. It is an everyday basket used by women to carry objects on their heads. This awit from the Kalinga is made using plaited construction from bamboo and rattan. It is used to carry heavy bundles of harvested rice and root crops. The rattan circling the middle of the basket is to provide strength to the basket when carrying heavy loads. This laga from Ilocos Norte is an everyday basket for carrying heavy loads of root crops, vegetables, and rice. The basket is made using plaited weave from bamboo and rattan. This is another example of a laga from Ilocos Norte. This kupit is a plaited weave basket made of rattan and bamboo. It is an intricate basket made with 3 compartments. The lower compartment is used to store rice and food. The middle compartment is used to store tobacco, and the top is used to store more valuable items. This sangi from the Bontok region is an everyday backpack typically used to carry harvested rice, root crops, and vegetables. It has a plaited weave construction made from bamboo and rattan. The shoulder straps are made from woven rattan and can withstand heavy weight. This hapeeng from Ifugao is made with plaited weave from bamboo and rattan. The shoulder straps are made from braided rattan and can support heavy loads. The construction of this backpack uses solid rattan as a frame, so the basket can also be used as a stool. This upig from Ifugao is made using plaited rattan weave, one fitting inside the other. Braided bamboo cord is inserted into the loops on both sides and is used to carry the upig. It is often used to store personal items. This is a rattan basket from Ilocos Norte made with plaited weave construction. It is an everyday basket used for shopping for fresh produce, meat, and fish at the market. This baston is made from carved camagong with mother of pearl inlays. This inlam pangbato santikan is a flint and steel container from Palawan made from bamboo with fine rattan splits braided into rings and fitted around its entire length. This scabbard for a farmer's machete is made using a plaited weave from rattan and a wooden base. Next is food storage. This ulbong from Ifugao is made using plaited construction from bamboo and rattan. This basket is used for storing husked rice after winnowing. The tight weave is to protect rice grains from pests. Here's another example of an ulbong. This tingkop from Palawan is woven from hand-stripped bamboo and a wooden base. It is used for rice storage. The very fine weave is a distinct skill of the Palawan tribe and is currently being taught to carry forward the weaving heritage of the tribe. Damili, or pottery, is a cottage industry in the Ilocos region, which was started prior to the arrival of Spanish conquistadors. This century-old putik clay pot was used to store and age brined fish. Damili comes in many forms, such as cooking pots, jars, tiles, and cooking stoves. Next, we have tools used in the kitchen. The echoos from the Kalinga is a hand-carved wooden ladle for kitchen use. The paok from the Kalinga is made from a coconut shell with wooden handle and is used as a soup scoop. Here is another example of a paok. This diktikan at Pambayo is a hand-carved wooden mortar and pestle and is made from the sturdy camagong wood. The 70-year-old almiris mortar and pestle was carved from stone and used to crush, pound, and pulverize grains. The Ilocanos preferred to use the stone version rather than wood or plastic to bring out the true flavor of the grains. This sabsabot is a century-old coconut shell used as a kitchen bowl in juicing fish paste to add to a dish while being cooked. Part of the rim of the bowl has ridges where a wooden cooking ladle is placed. This is a hand-woven sieve for kitchen use made from bamboo. The sabsabot and sieve are often used together when preparing meals. The banga from Ilocos Norte is a cooking pot made of glazed clay and is used to cook rice, fish, and vegetables. The sagapa is made from circular woven bamboo splits used to place a hot banga to avoid tipping and is a common kitchen item in the Ilocos region. And here are the two items together. After preparing all the meals in the kitchen, it's time to eat. The huop basket from Ifugao is used for serving newly cooked rice. It is made using plaited weave from bamboo and rattan. This is another example of a huop. This kulikug from the Bontoc region is woven using plaited weave from bamboo and rattan. It is used to hold warm, unripe rice for snacking, and the design is specifically to keep the unripe rice warm. This is another example of the kulikog. This topil from bontok is made using plaited weave from bamboo and rattan. It is used to carry rice and meat to be shared at a celebration. It is also used as a lunchbox by farmers. And here's another example. This is a carved Philippine acacia wooden bowl. Filipino artisans use acacia wood to carve serving bowls and platters for food, dessert, soups, and salads. The wood is a very common hardwood with a distinct smooth grain, making it great for this type of bowl for serving food. Next are household goods and decorations. This hand-carved bulol is believed to be the representation of ancestors of the Ifugao and those who keep watch and guard rice crops. The lakub is art by the Maranao people in Lanao del Sur, Philippines. The surface of the bamboo tube is decorated with pieces of dyed paper. To make this piece, the bamboo is boiled to facilitate the transfer of the dye to the surface. This abuhan is hand-carved from kamagong hardwood. This is a vintage bamboo document saver, which were commonly used to store valued paper documents. This particular piece is from 19th century Pasukin, Ilocos Norte. Here's another example of a bamboo document saver. This particular tube is over a century old. Wood carving is a traditional form of art, expression of ingenuity and livelihood in the Philippines. The wood carving capital of the Philippines is Paete, Rizal. This particular piece depicts men from the Cordillera region and their dog companions. This is a handmade baul with mother of pearl inlays. Hardwoods, yakal or mahogany are used to make the chest. The baul or storage chest has carvings with okir patterns on the sides and on the top of the lid, and with inlaid mother of pearl cut and arranged in various geometric shapes and sizes. Okir is a design carved on wood which depicts the social identity of the Maranao. This is another example of a baul. And a third example. Next are toys and games. This is a hand-carved wooden sungka board. Sungka is a traditional Filipino table game with 2 rows of 7 holes on each side and larger holes at each end. Sungka dates back to 17th century Philippines, but other Southeast Asian and African countries have a similar game. This is a wood-carved kalabaw. The kalabaw is a symbol of hard work and perseverance. The yo-yo was a tool to hunt for animals and used as a weapon in ancient Philippines, but eventually became a toy. Finally, we have textiles and clothes. The langkit is a multicolored strip of cloth that is woven and embroidered and placed in a tubular garment, the malong a landap, to enhance the style and design of the garment. The langkit is a traditional strip of cloth of the Maranao and is hand-woven using the backstrap loom. This is a kalinga hand-woven cloth with the ilaglis pattern. Traditional backstrap loom weaving is still practiced in the Kalinga province. The patterns and designs of the weave remain unchanged through many generations. This is a hand-woven Kalinga cotton cloth with a Sinan Bituan pattern. This is a hand-woven Kalinga cotton cloth with a Pilagbagan pattern. The Yakan weave is composed of bright and bold colors, made of cotton done on a backstrap loom. Cotton loom woven textiles are called inabel by the Ilocanos. This particular cotton blanket is over a century old. This is another example of inabel with a different design. And this is a third example. This is another inabel, but from Abra, and with a horse design. This silk malong is composed of the wide vertical langkit band called lakpan. The two narrower horizontal bands are called dobrian. The ikat cloth is woven from the abaca fiber. The design of each cloth are interpretations of nature and daily life, and each piece of cloth is a story of one's personal journey. The cloth is colored with natural dyes derived from leaves, grass, fruits, barks, and other sources from the forest. After weaving, the cloth is hand pounded with hard wood to soften it. The cloth is then ironed with cowrie shells to give it a shine. This is woven cloth from abaca fibers. Abaca fiber is derived from a species of banana. It is also known as Manila hemp. Loosely hand-woven abaca cloth is called sinamay, which is a stiff fabric used for textiles. Fine hand-loomed abaca cloth is called nipis, which was a luxury fabric during the colonial era. Piña fiber is made from pineapple leaves and woven into a very fine fabric. This particular fabric is a half-century-old embroidered tablecloth from Aklan. This example of piña fiber was woven into very fine fabric. This type of fine fabric was often used for formal attire since the 17th century. Husi cloth is woven from abaca and silk fibers. It has a polished texture. It is commonly used for making the kimono and terna for women and the barong Tagalog for men. Hand-embroidered husi garments are often worn for special occasions and events. This is another example of a husi fabric kimono. As far back as the 1600s, the unique needles and thread art pieces of Lumban, Laguna are showcased in their hand-embroidered fabrics. A unique characteristic of the embroidery designs is the embossing on the fabric. Another unique feature is the calado way of embroidery, where the cloth's threads are unraveled to form a net-like pattern, which can be seen in the detailed view. These methods of embroidery are waning and are not often seen in modern clothing. This half-century-old long gown features the embossed and calado embroideries of Lumban, Laguna. Thank you for your time today. You can reach me at the email above and see more of my photography at johncparedes.com.
Yung ating vegetarian option is itong portobello mushroom na so gagawa ng isang beef salpicao at isang portobello mushroom na salpicao.
What up? This is Snor's Kitchen.
Yo, what's good? Welcome to Snor's Kitchen. Itong presentation na to ay para sa Pagdiriwang 2021. So right now, I'm just getting my pans ready. Inoil ko siya para hindi dumikit, and I'm gonna start heating them up ng mga medium fire. I got everything else ready, yung garlic, of course, yung onions, para medium siya na dice, or medium slices, and then to diced roughly. I got some butter here, which I will add here pagkatapos ng mag-heat up nitong pans. So aside from that, meron pa akong bell pepper here na nakaslice. Yung ating vegetarian option is itong portobello mushroom na so gagawa ng isang beef salpicao at isang portobello mushroom na salpicao. So gagamitin ko yung wok for that, and then itong cast iron para sa beef. So, habang nag-heat up ng mga pan na to, all that, yung sauce. So sa snorskitchen.com, 4 to 6 na oyster sauce, 4 to 6 tablespoons ng oyster sauce, but you can add more to taste. Ganun mo. Para pumunta yung air bubble dito sa taas. Let's see if this works. Come on, yo. I'm gonna go rogue on this one. There we go. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's make it 5. Since it is for both recipes. Oh, come on. So yeah, sticking nga ng oyster sauce. I'll add a little bit of soy sauce. Yung dalawa lang. Just add some saltiness. 1 tablespoon. Just a bit more. And then, yung ating Worcestershire sauce. 2, 3. Just gonna keep that open. And then I have some brown sugar here. Siguro mga 3. You can always add later, pero ang pangit kasi pagka masyadong matamis yung ginawa mo, diba? So try not to do that. You can always add more sugar eventually. We're gonna add some spice with some cayenne pepper. I think that's good for now. Some black pepper. Mix it. So it looks like yung oil natin heated up well enough. I'm gonna lower the heat a little bit. Nalagay na ako ng butter. Siguro mga 2 tablespoons. Lagay ko yung half ng garlic dito. I'm gonna add some of the when this is ready, I'm gonna add some onions, but for this it's almost ready. Worcestershire sauce. It was like, siguro madalawang, kasi the goal was to get like 1 garlic each. Like 1 whole clove of garlic for each dish yung beef and the mushroom. So, parang dalawang handfuls of this garlic. Well, before na nasa Pilipinas ako, nag-order ako ng mga pulutan. Like when we're drinking, so salpikaw or yung beef or yung mushroom salpikaw or both yung isa sa mga favorites ko na pulutan. At goodness there. So nilagyan ko lang yung chunks ng portobello just so alam mo portobello yung part na kinakain mo, because ginawa ko sa yung smaller na mushroom, yung regular mushroom na brown, sinop ko siya ng dinice ko sila like roughly. I'm not sure show this too quick. Okay. So the mushrooms yung para sa beef salpikaw looks ready, so I'm gonna set it aside. And we're gonna add a bit more butter again kasi maglalagay tayo ng beef. And this is a very greasy dish because pulutan nga siya, so. But lately, I've been just, kinakain ko siya with rice, of course. Not so much with the beer anymore. And this is yung beef cubes na cream beef cubes. And melted the butter here. We're gonna add that soon enough. Dun sa recipe ko, dun sa snorskitchen.com, 2 pounds of beef, but then I think this one is less than 2 pounds. So I'm gonna just salt the beef a little bit. Add some black pepper. Tapos, huwag nyo nalang sabihin sa tatay ko, pero lalagyan natin ng magic sarap. Galit sa magic sarap yung tatay ko. Actually, mukhang malaki masyado yung slices ng beef, to be honest. But it's all good. Pagka mas brown na to and nag-subside na yung, magtutubig kasi siya, so pag nag-subside na yung water nito, we are gonna add the sauce. This one looks good enough na mukhang wala naman ng excess water to. So, tsaka mukhang nag-isa na siya ng mabuti. So, lalagyan na natin ng sauce yung mushrooms. 1 cup tong buong yung water na nilagay ko. So, we're gonna add like 1/2 cup ng sauce. A little bit more kasi syempre meron din mga oyster sauce and stuff like that. So, I'm just gonna put this on high, yung mushrooms, para ma-reduce yung sauce. Yeah, just a lot of waiting right now at this point. Okay, mukhang handa na yung ating beef and mukhang na-reduce na rin yung ating mushroom dito. Let's just mix it a little bit. Na-tenderize na yung ating beef and na-reduce na yung water sa kanya. So, we're gonna add the rest of the mushrooms here. Yung kaninang tinanggal natin dyan. Balik natin. And then, we're gonna add some sauce. So, hindi natin lalagay muna lahat. So, I wanna make sure na it's not too salty. So, but this one looks finished na. Minsan kailangan mong pa-adjust and stuff like that. good. Dumikit yung flavor sa mushroom. Tapos yung smaller na mga mushroom, it's like a blast of flavor. So it's not too salty. And it's not too sweet either. Added the rest of the sauce. And we're just gonna reduce this parang ganito. Actually turn off the heat. And we're gonna add yung bell pepper, like half of it. And that should cook off. And we're gonna add some fried garlic. You know, kung wala kayong mahanap na yung ready-made na fried garlic, you can always make your own. You just have to wait for this guy here to reduce. And syempre para ma-coat niya rin, ma-coat ng flavor yung itong beef with the oyster sauce. Of course, mas mabilis maluto yung mushrooms lang, of course. So it's gonna take a little bit more time just to reduce the sauce. So mukhang reduce na yung beef, so I just wanna give it a taste test bago ko yun, i-add yung i-turn off yung heat and i-add yung bell pepper. Could use a little bit more pepper. Worcestershire sauce. Minsan kailangan mo mag-adjust. So that's another tablespoon, about another tablespoon. Just gonna mix it a little bit. So this is with the adjustments. Tapos mukhang mas na-reduce na rin yung sauce. I'm gonna try it again. Yeah. It's perfect now. So, add this. Turn off the heat. Mix it a little bit. Same garlic bits. That's it. Alright, so gagawa na ako ng taste test and also my dinner. First we're gonna start off with the mushroom. Here goes the beef. You can make it spicier kung lagyan mo ng siling labuyo. But for the purposes of baon and for my wife, hindi siya mahilig sa manghang, so we didn't make it too spicy. But you can make it spicy, make it your own. I would encourage you to make it your own. But you know, you have may parang general idea kayo kung anong lasa ng beef salpicao or salpicao in general, so you just kind of follow that. So this concludes our Pagdiriwang 2021 presentation of salpicao 2 ways. Thank you for watching. Visit snorskitchen.com. Peace out, yo.
Welcome to the 2021
2021 Pagdiriwang Festival Literary Reading, Agram Pabula at Kultura, or Science, Myth, and Culture. I'm your host, Robert Floor, and thank you for joining us, and I hope you enjoy today's reading. Pinoy Words Express was co-founded in 2006 by Maria Batayola and myself, with its first literary poetry reading at Seattle Center under the auspices of the Filipino Cultural Heritage Society of Washington State. The intent of Kultura Arts was to showcase Filipino American writers and artists to the Filipino community and to the larger Puget Sound communities by providing a platform in which they could present their works and their talents. But before we begin the reading today, we want to take a moment to acknowledge that the Salish people are custodians of the land on which we meet today and pay our respects to their past and present. We are also in support of Stop the Hate efforts to curtail the egregious hateful attacks on Asian Americans, women, and BIPOC communities. These are unlawful, uncalled for, and extremely un-American. Okay, today's readings feature 4 Phil-Am poets and writers who will each read twice in a round-robin format. Each presentation will be a period of roughly 5 minutes. The order of today's reading is Allison Masangai, DJ Finohop. They is a sick, disabled, queer Filipinx femme artist, scholar, and social justice advocate. Originally from northern New Jersey, Lenni Lenape territory. Due Android streaming color, Phenohype is a Cyborg is their first self-published multimedia book. Our second reader for this evening will be Jason Tanamor, a Filipino Chinese American writer. His journalism has appeared in more than 250 publications worldwide, including Yahoo TV, Yahoo Music. Vampires of Portlandia is his first inaugural Filipino novel. He resides in Portland with his wife and son. Our third reader or performer is Kailayo Pestano. Did I say that right? Sorry. She discovered a deep love of hip hop as an immigrant youth, writing verses as a way to reconnect with their roots, and claimed space as a queer Filipina with a lot on their mind. Since 2006, Kalayo has been inciting love and rage with incisive rhymes and raw delivery in her performances. Our last and final reader is Angela Garbes, the author of Like a Mother, an NPR Best Book of 2018, and a finalist for the Washington State Book Award for Nonfiction. Her work has appeared in New York Times, New York Cut, and on NPR's Fresh Air. She lives with her family on Beacon Hill. So with that, we're going to begin with Allison.
Thank you. Yeah, again, my name is Allison Masanka. I use she, they pronouns. My writing right now is helping me explore my body and my whole self outside of white supremacy. And my hope is that folks who listen or witness are inspired to take on similar journeys of self-reflection, imagination, and radical action. What I'm reading today will engage with some theory around radical technology and media, though much of my work also includes subjects like Aswang and more pre-colonial Philippine folklore and history. Okay. So this piece, I just wrote it for myself and I'm not gonna post it anywhere. But it's called Concussions. If you were to compile all of the research studies on concussions and traumatic brain injury that don't focus on athletes or the military, then maybe you'd begin to understand how little I know about myself. I'm 1 to the nth power. N equals the number of concussions I experienced in this lifetime, which doesn't ultimately change the value of 1, but certainly prolongs the amount of time those beyond 1 would take to process the logic that brings us underwhelmingly back to 1 to the nth power, who isn't really different, but definitely will never look or be or operate the same way as the 1 we all used to know and love ever again. The most painful part of multiple concussions is that this may be the most Filipino I've ever been, fractured from previous versions of myself that still tap my back to simply ask for recognition, and then having to function as if the damage never happened, and pain has more to do with feeling an unsatisfactory body like crying, and has nothing to do with accepting emotions beyond happiness and feeling the realities of collisions, violence, conflict. Disoriented, balancing an axis of explicit and implicit violence on my skinny shoulders, unable to even remember if my own history was taught to me, unable to remember the thought before the headache. The real pain is layers of colonization, U.S. imperialism, white supremacy, colonial mentality, walking into hospitals and sharing smiles with people in all types of uniforms that look like me, but still won't be able to fully support me with the tools of Western institutions. What really hurts is that some people would prefer me to feel this way. I recently read Glitch Feminism, a manifesto by Legacy Russell, where she argues from a Black, queer, and femme perspective that glitches of digital technology are not true errors, but actually important integral parts of disrupting the binary systems of offline and online life. Glitch feminism transcends the ones and zeros of digital binary language and the gendered body, so that one, to the power of the Black and brown, the queer, the trans and non-binary, the disabled, may access and express their inherent fullness and multiplicity. Glitch feminism, quote, aims to make abstract again that which has been forced into an uncomfortable and ill-defined material, the body. Legacy Russell brings in the words of protagonist David from Giovanni's Room by James Baldwin, quote, it doesn't matter, it is only the body, and it will soon be over. Then Russell explains, quote, we ghost on the gendered body and accelerate toward its end. Find me where the gendered body ends. Find me hacking the genetic code embedded by ancestors in my spine. I'm here in Duwamish, Coast Salish land, reimagining who I even am as a walking legacy of ongoing settler colonialism and racial capitalism. I'm on lifelong journeys, both online and AWK, away from keyboard. I'm longing to find home in my non-binary femme Filipinx body. I found home in the loving arms of other brown and Black femmes and women. Error, please try again. I'm relearning the possibilities of my flesh and spirit within a Filipinx future, which I believe is largely a return to my homeland and the ways of its pre-colonial past. Error, invalid entry, please try again. I'm denying the scarcity, quickness, and lack of care mediated by public policy and social media algorithms. I'm uploading myself at the rate of love. Find me in spaces where we can all fully show up without the fear of exploitation or other violence. Error, this device will restart in 3, 2, 1. The screen has faded to black. The possibilities are abundant. Welcome to your new body.
Thank you, Allison. All right, Jason, you're on.
Hi, my name is Jason Tanamore, and I will be reading an excerpt from my new book, Vampires of Portlandia. When I started writing, I grew up in the Midwest, so a lot of my books featured white characters, and I didn't really realize why I was doing it. I kind of acknowledged myself as white first and Filipino second. As I got older, I kind of started to identify with my Filipino culture, and so this was my first book with Filipino characters, and my goal was to kind of bring Filipino culture into the mainstream. So this is chapter 12 from Vampires of Portlandia. Leave us, whoever you may be, uncleansed spirits, satanic influences, aggressors, wicked beings, divisions and sects. The priest raised the crucifix high above his head, his arms stiff with force, and spit out the prayer for the third time. His voice was trailing as the priest had been exorcising his patient for much of the night. The year was 1965, and exorcisms weren't commonly practiced in the Philippines. When he stated his last command, Father Rodrigo placed the cross on Teniente Guimo's head, praying aloud to the highest of powers that the demon would exorcise from Guimo's body. He found it odd the circumstance he'd gotten into. Several hours prior, he had received an anonymous phone call from a neighbor. She'd sounded belligerent, rambling over and over about strange noises coming from Guimo's house. The caller kept muttering, "Ang diablo na swang, ang diablo na swang," the devil aswang. Father Rodrigo rushed over in an instant. Most divine evil, you shall no longer deceive mankind, persecute the church, and torment God's children. The highest God commands you, be gone from this child. Gimo squirmed violently from under the restricted vigor of the priest's associates, another priest called Father Timothy, and a nun called Sister Natividad, and then let out a low, fierce growl that echoed throughout the small shanty in the densely populated village of Capiz, Philippines. He was a skinny man, bony, with little definition. There wasn't a soft spot on his body, and his head was full of hair, short black strands that were slicked back across his skull. His features were distinct. Gimo was quite the looker. The three zealots pushed Gimo down to the bed, applying more force than before. His legs were kicking, but no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't break from their grasp. The nun dodged the assault, and she was able to maintain her position, forcing him onto the bed with all her strength. God commands you, the faith of all holy apostles commands you, and the will of the sacred priests commands you. The blood of the highest God and the devout saints command you. Father Rodrigo raised the cross up high again, his palms sweaty from how long he had been grasping the crucifix, and then pressed it down firmly onto Gimo's forehead. With his arm tense, Father Timothy grabbed a bottle of holy water and doused the patient's body. The water splashed across Gimo. He craned his neck from side to side, ignoring the associate priest, and instead eyeballed Father Rodrigo with a cold stare. His eyes burned a deep blood red, and he foamed at the mouth. The holy water had no impact on Gimo. The priest moved forward, closer to his patient. When Father Rodrigo got nose to nose with the patient, something triggered him to jump back. Startled, his knees buckling, he loosened his grip on the crucifix, where it fell to the floor next to him. "What happened?" screamed Sister Natividad. Watched, Rodrigo's demeanor was now shaking to his core. His mouth had fallen open and his eyes were wide like softballs. "Answer me!" The priest began to and shook in terror, and his pointer finger, which once directed his commands, orchestra conductor's baton, fell crooked at the restrained man. He had lost much of his confidence. The rest of his will was dying. The neighbor was spouting now made sense. Aswan. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed reading your book. Kalayo. You're next. Unmute. Ask to unmute.
Hi everyone, my name is Kalayo Pestano. I also make music as Rogue Pinay. And I'm starting off with a piece that I wrote in the wee hours of the morning after finding out, well, not recently anymore, but that I'm with child. And I think that it's been, already such a journey around just learning more about what that, what that means for me, and trying to find, just trying to find ways to connect to this person that's growing inside me. And so this is a little something I wrote about that. Also, this is this is my partner Andy, who will be doing a song with me in the second round.
I'll get on the shot.
No, it's okay. You're already in the shot.
No way, is it being recorded right now?
Yeah. That's okay.
So, okay. Oh, you're reading now. So.
Yes, I'm reading this one. Okay. I want you to know the heat of mid-morning sun on the southern tip of Mindanao, where I took my first breath. This is the fire that brought you to life. This fire is our ancestors' promise that they shall always be with you. My darling child, I want you to know the sweet relief of the afternoon breeze. Actually, is Jason supposed to be like the main person on the screen? Is that odd?
No, we can see everybody. I have it in.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Sorry. In my screen, it's just the way that it is, I think. Let me put it in gallery view too.
I have it.
I'll start over. I want you to know the heat of mid-morning sun on the southern tip of Mindanao, where I took my first breath. This is the fire that brought you to life. The spires our ancestors promise that they shall always be with you. My darling child, I want you to know the sweet relief of the afternoon breeze blowing from the sea, cooling the damp in your curls. This is the blessing from the moon who watches over you. When you go to the Philippines, they will tell you, stay away from crowded markets. It is full of pickpockets and smell like fish. They will tell you, don't stray too far into the countryside. It is dangerous and full of rebels. But darling, these are the places I have felt the lifeblood of our people, the same blood flowing in your veins. And in those moments, I have felt most alive. If you find yourself there, be aware of your surroundings. That is to say, take it all in and be present in your body and know who you are in this world. It's okay if your heart beats in your ears. Just keep breathing and noticing. You'll find everything you need within these jungles. Things are never what they appear. But then, if you know where to ask, there will always be a fierce warrior whose kindness will bring you to the other side. My darling child, I want you to know this generosity of spirit. Feel how our people look out for one another. It is embedded in who we are. They will tell you it is not safe to go there, away from the air-conditioned malls and high-end resorts. But ride a jeepney, take a tricycle, find the best silog at Cruz Naligas, try the fish balls, fried fresh on the street, and definitely get the sauce. Ask our people what province they're from and how they came to be here. You will find pieces of yourself in these snacks and these stories. I must tell you, there is some truth to what they say. You might not be safe in these places. You will likely be uncomfortable. But that feeling of being not quite will exist on both sides of the Pacific. Maybe you won't ever feel safe, but go where you can feel whole. I want you to know the feeling of making home, whatever land you choose. Despite how they look at you, devalue your labor, other your gender, or mock who you love, you will make a home, just like we're making one for you. Home is embedded in who we are. My darling child, you will know the safety of being wrapped in your father's arms. You will know the sound of the morning in a home where you can just be who you are, where we eat breakfast together, then maybe sing a few of our favorite songs to start the day. You will feel the warmth of the afternoon sun while you doze on the couch, knowing you are so completely loved. With that, you will know safety like mountain clouds parting after morning rains, like kids playing in puddles in crowded marketplaces, like all your titas, aunties, uncles, cousins who will keep your father and I in practice of nurturing and trusting as we grow with you. Understanding that you can love someone and still harm them, and that we are creating this world, not just for you, but with you. My darling child, I am Kalayo, who chose my name to reclaim our fire. You are a precious flame, dancing in the wind, free to take the shape you desire, to create a new universe. This poem is yours. This poem is the home we are becoming. Thank you.
Thank you. Very nice. All right, Angela, you're on. Oh, unmute.
I'm unmuted.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for inviting me to be part of this. It's really an honor to be able to read with all of you. I wrote down uploading myself at the rate of love, which will stick with me for a while. So thank you, Olsen. I'm working on my second book right now, which is around the idea of mothering as social change, like the daily repetitive tasks of caretaking as embodied resistance to white supremacy, patriarchy, ableism, and the exploitation of capitalism. So I'm doing a lot of research, but I'm also trying to let myself play a little bit. And so the things that I'm going to be reading are some things that are new that Maybe it'll end up in the book. They're definitely the ideas behind it. So I'll just leave it at that. Let's see here. I am descended from a line of hair dyers and skin whiteners, matriarchs and migrants who, despite this power, feared their own bodies, the lightness that comes with aging, and the inherent darkness of their skin. I have very few clear childhood memories. When I do think about this time, it's never single moments that I revisit. Instead, it's a feeling, warm and tight, of being kept, a feeling I can crawl into and inhabit. My mother sits in a green vinyl chair next to a blue and white faux marble counter scattered with jewelry and glass bottles. At the other end is a shell-shaped sink. The air is steamy and sweet, imbued with the scent of ginate after bath splash, drugstore perfumes, lotions, and powders. I sit on a stool at her feet, my head sideways in her lap. With careful but sturdy fingers, she takes the silver pang tutuli and swirls it around the outer edges of my ear, then works her way in deep, scooping out my soft, crumbly white earwax. She wipes the wax on a square of toilet paper so I can study it afterwards. She knows I love to look at it, sometimes smell it, and roll it in my fingers. When she is done with my left ear, I turn and face her stomach. I close my eyes and feel this soft part of her body rise and fall and brush against my face with each of her breaths as she cleans my right ear. There's barely any distance between us. I inhale her scent. I am one with her heat. This scene is an incantation, a physical prayer. My body can return to this feeling in an instant. The pang tutuli is a flimsy thing made of cheap aluminum. In less caring hands, it could cut the delicate skin lining an ear canal or puncture an eardrum. My mother wielded it expertly, tenderly excavating my body's waste. Having my ears cleaned right after a bath made it easier. Body damp and relaxed, earwax softened. But if I'm being honest, I preferred having it done when I was dry. I liked feeling my mother's effort, her digging and the resistance, the careful vigilance required. Sometimes, as a weekend treat, we had champorado and tuyo, one of her favorite meals growing up, for breakfast. I whined about having to separate the fish from the tinik that sometimes stuck in my throat and made me gag. My mother painstakingly pulled the meat from the fine bones to make a pile of salty brown fish for me to mix into the dark porridge. Once, just a few hours before my parents were set to leave on an international trip, I shaved a long ribbon of skin off my shin while flying down our gravel road on my pink banana seat bicycle. My mother, a nurse, took a new toothbrush from its package and used it, along with stinging hydrogen peroxide, to scrub every last bit of dirt and tiny stone from the weeping wound. I screamed, but she persisted. She never hesitated to be firm, even rough when necessary. For the Vietnamese, a lot of love is articulated through service, says Ocean Vuong in an interview I read. We don't say, I love you. We cook, we massage, we kauja, we scratch each other's backs. A surge of recognition runs through me. My mother certainly told my brothers and I that she loved us, but always in English, not her native language. She emigrated to the United States in 1970 and became fluent in English and much of American culture. But I sense that she might still be more comfortable giving and receiving love in demonstrative ways. Like so many immigrants, she adapted, but could never abandon what was instilled in her body. For much of my life, I thought words were the most important form of expression, but I don't think that way now. The body conveys love so much more eloquently. Hearing I love you is nice, but it's nothing compared to feeling it, your body absorbing the message from another. Thank you.
Thank you. Very nice. Very nice. Okay, that concludes our first round. I was going to going to read a couple of poems from Lascaro Memories. This was, I spent 4 summers in the Alaska canneries in King Cove. And so this was my chapbook back, God, feels like 1,000 years ago, but it's worn pretty well. So every so often I pull it out and read something from it. So today I'm going to read 2 short poems. And one is called Bunkhouse, where there were actually 2 Filipino bunkhouses side by side. Bunkhouse. Cookie welcomes us to his mess hall. A stocky Filipino. He wears an apron over a t-shirt. Hot makalakasai, he laughs. Coffee and lunch served and rooms assigned. We climb to the upper floor. Seasoned last carols circle rummy and paigao tables, carefully eyeing us. We unpack, sweep, carve our beings into plywood walls. Pablo's Linda, 1963. That's the first poem. The second poem is called White Bunkhouse. 2 bunkhouses quarter our Filipino crew. Early mornings, we traipse the boardwalk to cannery. We mingle with Aleuts from close by homes, convene dockside before work, consume cigarettes, and quietly chat. Managers come from the white bunkhouse, a cul-de-sac compound a few minutes beyond. During breaks, when all machine life stills, we congregate in cliques, sort ourselves like salmon we process, small talk while hurriedly downing donuts and coffee. On invitation, I walk the wood plank path, the treacherous, uneven conveyor connecting us. Later, I return to the harboring humor of Manongs. My visit never reciprocated. We remain distant in our distinct dwellings. So that's my 2 poems from out of the book. So let's continue on. And I should say, if you have a book, would you mention where a listener can buy it and acquire it? That would be good for. And if you have the cover, kind of show it and that kind of thing. I'll give you a few minutes to, if you need to get hold of it. So anyway, let's continue on. Allison, you're back on. So.
Okay, cool. Thanks. Yeah, for this round, I'm gonna read the prologue to the book that I self-published to Android Stream and Color Phenotype as a Cyborg. Let's see, I don't have the cover, but you can look it up online. And then if anything I've written or said resonates with you, I'm really open to potential conversations and connecting around these types of things. So you can reach me and look up all my different writing things on my website, Allison Masankai, ALLISON, masankai.com. And links are all there. So yeah, okay, first water. Okay. I remember when I realized that a word other than human could describe what I am. After putting away equipment from a game of dodgeball in my 5th grade PE class, there was extra time before we were allowed to leave the gym for our next class. Impatient and undirected, some of my classmates wanted to continue playing dodgeball while we waited. We already put away all the foam dodgeballs. Privilege empowers you to act without too much thought, or maybe my classmates were truly not thoughtful. I wanted to play dodgeball too. Where are the dodgeballs? I thought to myself, with my hands in my pockets and my mind in a human place. Did no one else also ask this question before picking up the tennis balls? I just looked up that the suggested beginner speed for a tennis ball launcher is between 10 to 20 miles per hour. I'm going to guess that a 5th grade white kid wanting to play dodgeball with a tennis ball can throw roughly this speed. Where are the no more time for questions? Oh no, a classmate tried to start a dodgeball game by throwing a tennis ball and it hit my right eye. Throbbing melted to my face and ears. I heard a loop of the AOL dial-up tones that sound like a hybrid of a goose before it poops in the middle of a walkway and a hungry Pac-Man ghost crying. My vision became a crying LCD screen. Digital blue, green, and red, plus some purple pixelated shapes filled up at least 50% of the screen. I closed my eyes and found solace in the grainy black vision before opening them to the Microsoft Paint default colors again. Are you okay? This is the reaction of a non-white child who's been conditioned by her family and society to suppress all of her pain and emotions. I heard a muffled chorus of mildly concerned voices coming from some classmates. Are you okay? You are, okay? No one wanted to approach me. Maybe just wait for it to buffer. Did you try turning the machine off and on again? No more time for questions. Tennis balls continue to fly across the gym. Okay, maybe we can get the dodgeballs out if we really want to play, said our PE teacher playfully with a slight grin. Why do I feel like I want to punch someone? Oh wait, it's time for y'all to go to your classroom. We file by the door behind our assigned primary teacher and leave the gym. I feel like I'm teetering as I walk alongside my classmates. Green and blue and purple pixelated polygons continually emerge and decompress with my slowing heart rate. Is this going to be how I see the world for the rest of my life? Hey, is there something wrong with my eye? I don't think I can see correctly. Hello? My voice is steady, but my heart rate is fluctuating. I'm an overheating laptop with no room to breathe. I can hear my breath, a notification that my body is working too hard. My class files into the classroom, and it's time to wash your hands for lunch. My vision is 63% normalized with pixelated blobs of green and blue at the corner of my eye. Classmates start talking with each other about what they brought for lunch. I don't want pretzels again. I really like pretzels. Do you even use the hand sanitizer thingy? I don't think it works as well as the sink, but it's faster. I try to self-regulate my breathing. I look in different directions to see if any sights will inspire these bright square specks to leave my eyes. They're blinking at 85 beats per minute, the BPM of Spaz by my favorite band, NERD. Excuse me, I need to please wash my hands now. I calmly ask permission of my classmates. They step aside without a word. Their dusty sneakers and pale bodies brush aside and leave just enough room for my swollen, deep brown eye in the mirror above the sink. Oh my God, my eye swollen, like below my eye and around it too. It's puffing up. I still can't see normally what's going on. My panic is an internal dialogue compressing itself into the back of my mind as survival mode initializes. Without any words from my mouth, I'm quickly hitting the handle down from the paper towel dispenser on the wall, soaking layers of folded paper towels with the sink's coldest water and pressing the makeshift ice pack to my right eye. My eye is swollen, I say again to a deadpan audience around me. My eye is swollen, my vision's different. I don't know how to explain it. My eye is swollen. I can only see so much because there's some bright blue and green and purple in the way. My teacher approaches me standing at the mirror. Allison, is your eye swollen? Yes. Okay. Our teacher walks away to pour pretzels out of the classroom's huge bag. I feel my soggy, sweaty guts twist and squish against broken down patience. My stomach knows how to tie itself into a pretzel. I back away from the mirror and keep pressing the paper towel against my eye. I allow the rest of my classmates to wash their hands in front of me, but my body's glued to the spot right in front of the mirror where I can see my eye starting to deflate. The LCD screen shuts off after a little white noise. Oh my fucking God, my vision is back. My eye's only a little swollen now. I don't want to blame anyone for hitting me in the eye, but there is an inherent error when my obvious pain, suffering, and helplessness go ignored. Technological obsolescence. If we just wait, maybe we'll get a new one to replace this broken one. I've gotten used to all types of white people looking at me and expecting either a superhuman machine or a nice looking thing that they can shut off or simply ignore when it's not working the way they want. Nothing will happen if I don't open my mouth, and you already use Spaz, seeing sounds. To update now, click install, or you can tap later and install tonight and choose install tonight or remind me later. If you tap install tonight, just plug your device into power before you go to sleep. Your empowered device will automatically update overnight after processing centuries of historical trauma, muting their insomnia, and finally getting the rest, care, and love that everyone deserves.
Thank you. Taking us back to a brutal kind of grade school kind of situation. So anyway, Jason. Yeah.
All right, I'm going to read again from Vampires of Portlandia. You can find it online. Just Google Vampires of Portlandia, or you can find me at tanamore.com. This is chapter 22. I'm going to set this up a little bit. So the family of Aswang vampires, Roger is the second oldest. He's kind of being criticized for not holding up his bargain to take care of the younger twins while the oldest Percival works. So Roger, if you've ever been to Portland in downtown over the fall and winter, thousands of crows roost in the trees, and it's worth seeing in person. Roger has discovered them. He likes to feast on them, so he's gonna teach Marco, the youngest, or the twin, one of the twins, to catch crows. But Gina, who has a little bit of a conscience, has other ideas. So this is chapter 22. Roger, in fact, did step up his game with the twins. He taught them how to control their powers, showed them handy tricks that Roger had picked up along the way, and at this moment, he was attempting to teach his siblings how to snatch crows as they sat in trees along the riverfront. Christmas was approaching, only a couple weeks away, and the season was heading into winter. The air was cold and the wind brutal. The three shivered to themselves as Roger plotted the best plan of attack. It wouldn't be too difficult, as this time of year, the crows were essentially laid out like items on a buffet. Think we could get them all? Asked Marco. The siblings were standing on top of a nearby building just yards from the birds. Roger shook his head. He was still annoyed with Percival, so what better way to blow off steam? But he didn't want to take it out on Marco. He turned to the young twin and smiled. Don't need to. We just need a few to satisfy our taste buds, he said. He licked his lips. Live crows are much tastier than cooked chicken breasts. I heard that, muttered Gina. She felt defeated. Ever since they had left the apartment, she had been pleading to her brothers to spare the crows' lives, having been loyal to both her grandmother's and now Percival's rules. The brothers paid no attention to their sister. We'll go on 3, said Roger. He and Marco prepared themselves to take flight. Marco rubbed his hands together. 1, 2. Gina then had a plan. Run, she screamed. Her voice was loud and it echoed around them. She jumped and waved her arms at the crows like a marionette being guided by a drunken puppeteer, flailing erratically on the roof. Save yourselves! A few crows cawed and then flew away, across the Willamette River near the Morrison Bridge. More followed. The wind started up again, and when a gust swooped down into the trees, many of the birds took flight. What are you doing? Marco watched the bulk of the crows disappear. You're scaring them away! The birds had flown off to safety. The tree was now bare, its limbs blowing in the wind. Gina stopped running amok. She ran the back of her hand across her forehead. Good. A brief feeling of triumph emerged from her body. Her tightened lips transformed into an amused smile. She began to dance. We need to respect them just like humans. She bared her teeth, showing off a victory smile. Birds have feelings just like us. Roger sighed, and Marco's head fell backward. Now let's go home, and I'll make us some chicken adobo, said Gina. She stormed off. Doesn't that sound good on such a cold night? Chicken adobo made from already cut up frozen chicken breasts? Marco, at a loss, quietly stood stunned. The crows were long gone, and the trees were blowing in the wind. The limbs sounded like little rattlesnakes as they trembled against each other. What I would have done for a nice crow. They are delicious, confirmed Roger. Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, thank you very much. All right. Talia.
All right, you ready?
A song. We're going to have a song.
We're doing a song. So when we make music together, we're called Dragon Moon. And say anything?
So the song, we originally wrote it for a children's garden show that I was doing this past summer. And so it has a lot to do with growing things, but yeah, it's kind of an ode to kids in spring.
Cool. And it is inspired by the by Bahay Kubo, which is a Tagalog song that you all might know. There's a time to sprout, peeking out from under. Then we stretch it out as the weather grows warmer. Get the sun and water till we bloom like a flower. Go from yet to fall, getting ready for harvest, bearing gifts for the world, and lay our seed to rest till our roots grow deeper into the earth. We are planted, even in the rain showers, we're making it happen. Seed to plant to flower to fruit, moving through life cycles like me and you. Leaves and stems and flower and root, many parts make one whole, me and you, and it grows cold. Yet we're still here. We are the spring and they can't stop us. Mga halaman sa kalibutan, gulay at mga prutas, talong at singkamas, sitaw at sigarilyas, langka at mangga, at marami pang iba. Tayo ay nagkaisa sa ibang bansa, nagbubunga, 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 nagbubunga. Tulad ng mais at palay, nagbibigay ng buhay ang mga magsasaka, ang bayani na tunay. Huwag nating kalimutan na ang lupa ang pinanggalingan ng ating buhay. Land is life, water is life. We must stick together so that we thrive. Seed to plant to flower to fruit, moving through life cycles like me and you. Leaves and stems and flower and root, many parts make one whole, me and you, and it grows cold. Yet we're still here, and it grows cold, and we're still here. We are the spring and they can't stop us. They can't stop us. They can't stop us. We are the spring and they can't stop us. Thank you. Happy Pagdiriwang.
You wrote that. You
Salamat.
wrote that? Yes. It's original. Wonderful.
Yes, an original.
Great. Yeah, we couldn't have a program without having some music somewhere. So that was wonderful. So Angela, it's
Yeah. Oh, hold on. I'm going to grab my book off of my shelf here.
oh, okay, sure.
Maybe you can see that I'm wearing sweatpants. I put on a nice shirt, but I'm still wearing sweatpants on the bottom.
That's fine.
Yeah, so this is my first book. It's called Like a Mother. I had to really fight to get the image to be of a brown pregnant lady. So I used all the leverage I had for that. And you can find it at your local, you can find it anywhere really. You can buy books at your local bookstore and large online retailers if that's your thing. Oh, yay. So yeah, I'm smiling so much because this reading has just like, it's really such a pleasure to do this. And I feel like my heart feels very full. So, okay. I'm descended from a line of hair dyers and skin whiteners, matriarchs and migrants who, despite this power, feared their own bodies, the lightness that comes with aging, and the inherent darkness of their skin. I've always been drawn to the sun, letting my skin warm and grow hot under its rays. I take pleasure in watching my skin saturate from its natural brown to something darker and deeper. My mother was always horrified. She gardens in long sleeve shirts and large brimmed visors. Even now I can hear her saying sharply, "But you'll get so dark." The sting was there, the disgust in her voice. Dark was ugly, which was how she saw herself. Growing up in the Philippines, it wasn't dark skin that was valued. It was the light skin of leisure. If you had dark skin, you were poor and had to work outside. My mother never told me this, but as I got older, I sought it out and learned. It helped explain why we always seemed to be at odds. The colonial view of skin tone was so ingrained in her, plus a personal wound of having been darker than her 6 sisters, having been mistaken for someone else's child. Embracing my skin, I worry my mother takes this as a tacit rejection of her. That is not how I intend it, and I can't control her reaction, but sometimes I sense that much of my existence to her feels like a rebuke. I refuse to inherit the ideas that have limited her. I want to be free of them. I suspect she wants to be free of them too, but it feels too hard to try living an entirely new way now. So she carries on. We dig deeper into our positions. I am my parents' child for sure, but a distorted, bloated American version of the one they expected. My body, my appetites, my ambition, distended beyond their imagination, and I sometimes fear their comprehension. Settler colonialism insists that people like us suspect we might be better off living without our bodies. Their colors and shape, their constant needs, appetites, and changes. My urge is to rage against this. My mother's approach is to internalize and survive it. It's what she was taught, and it's what worked. I will never fault her for that, but I cannot abide. For almost 10 years, I dyed my hair to cover up my gray. Last year, at the beginning of the pandemic, when I decided to stop, my mother told me that I should keep dyeing it because you should look younger than me. I had to laugh. Yes, you look good, Mom, but you're still 30 years older than me. My 6-year-old also asked me not to stop dyeing, saying, I don't want my mama to look old. That's when I knew there was no going back. Letting my natural hair grow has been a way for me to insist that I'm enough exactly as I am. It is what I want to model for my daughters. Maybe it's what I want to model for my mother. My dyed black hair was one-dimensional, flat, heavy, a monolith from a box. It turns out my natural hair is variegated and rich, shades of silver, tar, marble, pewter, and night. My hair isn't gray only. It is white and black, charcoal and ash, nimbus and cirrus clouds, sheets of slate, hardened lava, onyx and alabaster, plush chinchilla fur, as varied as life itself. Even with the gray, you look young, my mother says one day, out of the blue. You too, I say, stroking her roots gently with my fingers. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. And thank all of you. I really appreciate everything that you've written and prepared for this evening. I also want to thank the Pagdiriwang committee for always supporting this event. But you did a wonderful job. I'm very pleased. Don't change your hair. It's wonderful. Just be yourself.
As part of Balik Saya Filipinas theme, this year I am going to take you back with me through photographs to an earlier time in Philippine history as you view the heritage homes at Las Casas Filipinas de Ocasar. Back in January 2017, my friends and I visited Las Casas Filipinas in Bataan, about 3 hours drive north of Manila. We arrived in Bagak, Bataan in the afternoon since we planned to stay for the night. Immediately, we saw the beauty that surrounded the place with Mount Mariveles, a dormant volcano in the south, and the Bagak Bay in the west. First on the activities was watching the Carabao Parade. The Carabaos were decorated with either flowers or painted designs, followed by a friendly race. Palo Sebo was another activity at the beachfront to show the skills of locals in climbing up a greasy bamboo pole. It took teamwork to get to the top of the pole. Time to view the various heritage homes. The homes were mostly restored Spanish colonial-era houses that were dismantled and transferred from their original locations from different parts of the country. Skilled artisans restored the homes to showcase their beauty and history. Sunset arrived soon enough and most of the day tourists have gone home. A view of Bagak Bay sunset. With dusk settling over us, we walked around to see more of the beautiful homes. I was amazed by the details of the homes with beautiful staircases and the statues adorning the outside corners. Staying for the night gave us an opportunity to see the architectural beauty in a different light. The waterways and bridges lit up, providing a relaxing mood. The Church of San Jose, a replica of Balanga Cathedral, was such a calming sight at night. The cobblestones of the street and the bridge added a feel of the olden days. Seeing the images in black and white brings back the feeling of the olden days. I love seeing the windows lit up at night. This is Casa Bizantina, one of the Heritage House Museum that was originally located at San Nicolas, Manila. Statues of children playing and listening to stories of Lola Basiang were fun to see. It reminded me of my childhood days of playing patintero, block and catch, in our neighborhood at night. There was also a statue of men playing stone checkers, another traditional game to pass the time. The nighttime offered tranquility to the place since there were not a lot of visitors at that time. The tram was my favorite subject to photograph since it gave me the feeling of nostalgia of public transportation in the good old days. We woke up before sunrise to see the blue hour. It was very quiet and peaceful. Can you imagine the painstaking effort to create this pathway of colored stones? Just simply amazing. This was another gateway which led to the rice fields. Another heritage house with a statue on the balcony post was next to it. The river was so serene in the morning. Walking along the banks brought me to the Ifugao huts that were still under construction at that time. I came back to see the balsa, or bamboo rafts, and boats that then take visitors for a ride in the waterways. The main reception building is called Hotel de Oriente, also the convention center of Las Casas. From here, we can also see a replica of St. John's Bridge in Manila. Another view of Lola Basiang telling stories to the children. One of them is about this mythical figure called Capre, which is half horse and half human. Inside the house, we saw the intricate design of the ceilings in these colonial homes. Depictions of fruits and fish are just some examples. The design of the wallpaper also reminded me of palaces of European royalty. The ceiling also had art with the light fixtures, and the walls had replicas of famous paintings. This one depicted the Spanish colonial history of the Philippines. As I walked up one of the staircases, I saw a replica of a Marsolo's famous painting, Planting Rice with Mayon Volcano. This one is special to me since my grandfather's home had a version of the painting and I did not know the artist until I saw this version on the wall. The talent of local artists were also exhibited with the mosaic paintings on the stairs or walls. Inside the homes, we also saw various artifacts, one for grinding using your feet, a small cannon, and a contraption for washing clothes. Some more reminders of earlier times included an old sewing machine and a fan, a collection of ice grinders for making halo-halo a favorite snack, and a collection of clay pots. The furniture inside the houses reminded me of photos from my grandparents' home. Casa Lubao is well known for the colored stained glass windows. Statues of saints on display were also a reminder of the Catholic faith. Huge wooden tables and the beautiful shiny floors were typical of the houses. Elaborate mirrors also added to the beauty. The doors of each house were full of character and made me wonder about the stories behind each one. The same was true with the windows of every home. These window panes were made with kapis or shells. The following images are a collection of various window styles that I found at Las Casas. As in most Catholic places, the church is the center of their daily lives. The church was still under construction when we visited. The man cleaning the church reminded me of the different forms of crosses that we carry. Seeing the Calesa also brought back a lot of fond memories of riding them when I was a small girl. Casa Binyan is a replica of the home of Dr. Jose Rizal, the Philippine national hero, as efforts to move the original house in Laguna were met with protest. Casa Binyan was formerly the home of Jose Rizal's mother, Teodora Alonso. This is also where the film General Luna was filmed. There was also a brief reenactment of the Noli Me Tangere story, providing more history for the visitors of Las Casas. Casa Unisan was all decked up for the fiesta celebration, and this day served as a restaurant. Ironically, this house had the darkest past, and the family that owned it were murdered by raiders. Before I end this travelogue, I want to share what brought me to this place. My friends who came with me on this trip made it memorable and fun. We imagined listening to Lola Basiang's stories. It was fun riding the tram. Looking forward to the time we can travel again together. I give credit to my son Leia Maminta Smith, who helped me with the video and editing. And special thanks to my friends who traveled with me, Abet, Nona, Marie, and Olive. Thank you, and until then, balik saya Pilipinas.
Before the pandemic, IDIC was the go-to place to more than 600 seniors who join in the activities and avail of social services every year. Here they gather to enjoy each other's company. There's bingo, board games, snacks, meals, food bank and groceries, line dancing and fitness sessions. It was their Disneyland, their second home.
Tonight, Washington stayed on edge after seeing the first.
But suddenly, Washington State made the headlines, exploding in our midst, the epicenter of a deadly illness. Overnight, the whole world changed.
Nang magsimula ang COVID-19 at magsara ang IDIC, para kami nawalan ng tahanan.
The happy, fun place, their second home, stands silent. IDIC's hallway was their Facebook, their Instagram. It was their social media. IDIC was their TikTok, their mobile gaming. All these were suddenly taken away from them. And like all centers, IDIC shut its doors indefinitely. But the staff continues to check on their needs, seeking help from the community. All responded. To one and all, maraming salamat po.
Sa lahat ng tumulong at patuloy na tumutulong, taos-puso ang aming pasasalamat sa inyong pag-aaruga.
An introduction to the Kulintang music of ancient Dulawan in the southern Philippines with Titania Buchholdt. Long ago, in the islands now known as the Philippines, there was a musical tradition which began with the human voice, with chants and songs. Over time, this music was transferred onto instruments made of wood, and then to metal instruments, instruments made of bronze. About 800 years ago, bronze gongs from Borneo arrived in the Sulu archipelago. And then the gongs arrived at the ancient inland port of Dulawan, located in the wide and fertile valley of the Pulangi River in central Mindanao. These bronze gongs in the southern Philippines are not like the flat gongs of the northern Philippines. These gongs have knobs, and they are played in several different ways. They can be suspended horizontally on a rack, called an antangan. Or sometimes they can be handheld, or they can be suspended vertically. In the Philippines, the music played on knobbed gongs is known by many names because this music is played by many cultures with different histories, religions, and languages. In the United States, we call this music Kulintang, and by far most Americans who play this music today learned it because of the efforts of the late master musician Danongan Danny Calanduyan. For 40 years, Danny Calanduyan taught Kulintang music to thousands of Americans. He started in the 1970s at the University of Washington in Seattle. In California, he taught Kulintang classes at San Francisco State University and at Skyline College in San Bruno. Danny Calanduyan was born near the Pulangi River in Maguindanao Province and raised in a family that specialized in the ancient music of Dulawan. Currently, this area is known as Datupian. In 1995, Danny Calanduyan became the first, and so far the only Filipino American, to be recognized by the United States government as a master artist specializing in a tradition of the Philippines. This brought national recognition to Kulintang music both in America and in the Philippines. Let's take a look and listen to some field recordings of traditional Kulintang music of ancient Dulawan as it is played in the Philippines and in the United States. Sinulog Akamamatuan, played at an exhibition held at a music competition. Variations on Dulawan style, Sinulog, Akamamatuan, and Duyo. The luntang, an ancient musical instrument of the Maguindanaon people, is made of tamnag wood. Titu, played on the luntang. Titu, played on the Kulintang Akayo. Sinulog Akamamatuan, played on the Kulintang Akayo as a duet, an innovation created in the United States by Danny Calanduyan. Played at a family celebration